Hey, Doug, man, you know the Starbucks Unicorn Frappuccino? They say it tastes like sour birthday cake mixed with a creamsicle covered in pixie sticks and a healthy sprinkling of despair.
Oh, our show is so much better than despair and so much cheaper, too. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/nice guys. No ugly residue on your hands and no unicorns will visit or were harmed in the making of this show.
Well, depending on how you listen to the show, you might have some residue on your hands, but that's up to you, not us.
Patreon.com/nice guys.
Delusions of grandeur, insanity. Sure, there's plenty of that. But here's what you can also hear on the Nice Guys on Business.
We were walking through Central Station in Stockholm, and a guy, I don't know if he was homeless, but he was begging, and he came up to us and he said, "Could I get some money for a cappuccino?" And I thought, since when is that become an inalienable right of the citizens of the world? I mean, I'm happy to help someone be fed, but you need a skinny latte? Well, do you want soy or is regular milk okay? I really like the way you do things. I really like the way you make it conversational. I mean, I just listened to a podcast and they provided some great information, but the only problem was it was so canned. It was like, being up at 3 a.m. and, the Rock-O-Matic. And you're just going, okay, man, I get it. Yeah, my thighs are going to slim down.
The Nice Guys on Business are putting the band back together. They're on a mission from God. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Ready?
I was born ready, baby. Let's go.
Hey, welcome back. It is Monday. We have a 3-time loser today, Mr. Tim Fargo on the show.
My name... So not a loser. It's so not... You can't start an entire week by telling somebody he's a loser.
Really?
No, like...
You sure?
Tim is like the fleeting fan of the show that we've never had. I mean, Tim is like tried and true. He's tested us on advertising. He's tested us as a turnkey podcast client. And you fucking call him a loser? You can't do that.
It's his third time being interviewed on the show. Has he actually listened to any of the episodes? Why the hell would he come back?
That's true. Hey, Tim, the question is, Strick and I have a question. Why? That's all we want to know. Why did you come back? Why?
Doug Sandler on the other side of the microphone. My name is Strickland Bonner.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is the week of 400. We have something amazing scheduled for Thursday's episode.
Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? We have been talking for weeks that we have something special for 400, and you know that we did nothing to plan for 400. We've been talking about doing something special, and we completely dropped the ball.
I know. Well, we didn't drop the ball. You have to have a ball in order for it to be dropped. We didn't even do that. Funkin' fans, Nice Guy community, ladies and gentlemen, Thursday is coming, but we have to get through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday first. That is the beauty of the Nice Guys on Business podcast. We are here 5 days a week. Yes.
And by the way, listening at double speed will not make us post the next episode any sooner.
No faster. We are the Seinfeld of the podcast community. We have decided that, have we not, Strickland?
I believe we have. But wait a minute, that's just our Tuesday and Thursday show, though. No, I mean, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we actually have content. We talk about something on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
We do, but we have to. About 10 minutes into the episode, we end up talking about something because that's actually when the guests actually come on the show.
Oh, so now is our Seinfeld part where we talk about nothing, including the guest.
No, I think we generally have maybe some purpose to the beginning of the show. Not a whole bunch of content going on, but as we get into the guest, so you can't just drop. See, Strick, my theory is you can't just drop an amazing guest on the Nice Guy community without building up to the guest. So we just can't drop some amazing content on a show from last week that the carryover was just total fuckery. You just can't do that. You people are not expecting that kind of significance from us. So we have to go about it in a way that we just kind of build up to it. So Tim Fargo is here, and we should discuss the things that are relevant to what Tim is here to talk about, shouldn't we? Before we actually get to him.
Well, if you have ever followed Doug on Twitter at all, If you've seen any of his posts on Twitter, most likely many of the ones that you have seen and liked and retweeted, they came from Social Jukebox, which is Tim Fargo's app.
Yeah. Not that I only do automated tweets, but it is very challenging to keep up with the level of content that we're actually. You just cannot put this much shit out and keep up with it yourself. You've got to keep up with the shit using evergreen content producers or evergreen content retweeters like Social Jukebox. No, Social Jukebox is actually extremely good to try to repurpose and recycle your content. Have you ever been up at like 2 a.m. and you want to see what's going on your social networks and you're looking, you're thinking, how are these people possibly tweeting at 2 a.m? Well, the nice part about it is there is really no good time and there's no bad time to tweet. So Social Jukebox just kind of takes over the whole Are you on the phone, Strickland?
Well, no. I'm going to mute that out. I'm going to fix that. I'm trying to confirm your reservation. I'm Doug Sandler's assistant. Right?
You are on the phone. So next week I'm going to Las Vegas, and Strickland, in the worst way, wants to try to get on that ticket with me.
Yeah,
so
I do.
But for some reason, I'm thinking that he's holding some level of importance on whether I'm actually staying at the MGM mansion or just the regular MGM room. Like,
I'm dying to know. Your reservation says the mansion at MGM, and that is the high roller suites. I mean, like separate private entrance and all that shit. So I'm dying to find out.
All right. But that shouldn't
I'm on hold, though.
It shouldn't negate the fact that you would want to contribute to the beginning of this episode. Tim has been an advertiser, and he is a client for the Nice Guy for Turnkey Podcast, and. You know, it's kind of disrespectful for you to be on hold at the same time that you're doing this. You don't feel that way, Strickland?
I'm sorry, Doug. Did you say something? I was listening to my hold music. Sorry, what? No. Yeah, sorry. I'm on hold, and I think it's like Creed or some shit. Some Daughtry or something on hold music.
Sacrifice. So Tim Fargo is on the show today. Tim has been a longtime fan of the Nice Guys on Business podcast. He owns a company called Social Jukebox, and it is an evergreen automated tweeting channel, a tweeting platform that you can use not only for Twitter but for Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And the company is really cool. He's got thousands of people that subscribe to this. I love his story. I love what he's all about, and he's here to talk about exactly why social media is so important and exactly how to get your message out using a company like Social Jukebox or a platform like Social Jukebox.
Hi, how you doing? I need to confirm a reservation.
Okay, let's listen into what's going on here.
Travel date is June 19th. I do have my confirmation number if you need.
So what Strickland is doing right now is he's checking my reservation at the MGM.
Doug Sandler.
We're hoping that we're in a very classy room. I'm thinking because the client paid for it, I'm probably not, but I have no idea because I don't know anything about hotel rooms. So let's see what Strickland has.
Unfortunately, I don't. It was actually booked through the Meeting Planners International, who I'm speaking for them. So I have honestly no idea.
Let's check it out.
Sure. The email is doug@dougsandler.com.
Oh, he's got the right email address. He's going to ask my social security number next.
I just want to check on the room. I may be having a guest coming, so I didn't know if it was possible to get 2 queens instead of a king bed. And also, the reservation said the mansion at MGM. Is that different from just the MGM Grand?
A hooker.
Yeah, I think because the mansion's like the high roller suite, right? Like the really high-end rooms.
Strickland is trying to check and.
Yeah, I'm speaking for the organization, but I'm not that special. So you have on your no, I don't think so. So on your end, you have me just at run of house room for the regular MGM, right? Got it.
Of course, they've put me in the loser room.
That'd be terrific. I appreciate it.
Probably somewhere below sea level. I know there's no window. Probably be lucky if I get onto
nothing right now. Thank you.
Any excursions.
Thanks, you as well. Bye-bye.
Somehow, what will be amazing is Strickland will get there with me, and we will get upgraded to the mansion.
I made sure to request a room with you that had a beautiful view of the air conditioning units on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, I had a good feeling. Strickland's going through all of these painstaking efforts to find out what room I'm in, and I'm thinking, who gives a fuck what room I'm in? I'm there for like 10 minutes. What did they say, Strickland?
You're in the regular MGM. You're not at the mansion.
Well,
She
why did they
said
tell
she's had a
me?
number of people call in and say that they got a note saying they were at the mansion, and no, that you're not at the mansion.
You know, it just goes to show you how much we. Do you think we get upgraded?
If
we
I'm
could?
checking in with you,
Yeah.
I can get you upgraded to a decent room, but I'm probably not going to get you into the mansion.
Okay. Well, Strick, you are more than welcome to come with me. I encourage you to. I think it would be great. I think we would have a
working
really
on
good time. I won't be there a lot, but I think it's fine.
How much are you speaking? You're talking for like an hour, right?
I'm talking for an hour. I'm there for 3 days.
Right. But you're only speaking for an hour.
Yeah. Very true. Very
Right. So
true.
the whole rest of the time, you and I can hang out and drink.
Yeah, that's very true. Very
And
true.
we can scout out ideas for our nice guy outing
yeah.
on October 17th through the 19th.
Yeah, Jen Blue. Very, very
Exactly.
nice. Hey, I'm not getting a lot of good vibe from the folks over at Caldwell Banker. If you happen to have a connection with Caldwell Banker and you want to, now they're not returning my emails, Strickland.
Oh, really? They're like not even, they're ignoring you basically.
Yeah.
They have the question of like, what's your connection to Cold? And your answer was, well, we know some people. And they were like, you do realize this is only for people
right.
who are actually affiliated with Coldwell. And you're like, oh, no, we've got really good friends. No. Only people who are affiliated with Coldwell Banker.
It was like I stepped into the Stepford Wives as soon as they started asking me questions, and I was trying to be a person. I really wanted to say to them what I say at a lot of my conferences. Hey, could you just put down the script for about 60 seconds and treat me like a human being? And they didn't want to hear they didn't want to hear from that. No. No. So,
but you know what? I'm telling Doug that we're still going to be there October 17th through the 19th, come hell or high water, because we've promised our Funkin' fans. But we need to hear back from you guys if you want to join us there, because if you're not going to join us, maybe we won't go.
Strickland, we have broken many promises that we have
True.
promised. This wouldn't be the first promise that we have broken. Although, wait, what's today? Today is Monday. Mm-hmm. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We are only 3 episodes away from episode number 400.
Crazy. And you're going to be, you will be, and I may be with you, in Vegas, June 19th through the 21st. If we have any listeners in Vegas or listeners who may be going to Vegas, we are buying the first round of drinks. You just have to contact us and let us know where we can meet you.
Wow, that's going to blow a whole month of Patreon contributions.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm totally fine with it. All you got to do is reach out to us and say, you know what? I'm going to be in Vegas and I'd love to meet you for a drink. We're buying the first round.
Hey, I got something important to say.
What's that?
We have a guest today.
Oh, Tim Fargo, Social Jukebox.
Yeah. Why don't we just get to everybody has heard of Tim Fargo. He's with socialjukebox.com. If you haven't heard, listen to the episode. He explains a whole bunch about social media, and he really does get into the when's a good time to post, what's a good thing to post, how much content you should create, how much content you should curate, how do you share content. He gets into all of that, but we're not doing a really good job of introducing him. So why don't we just get to the interview so that way he can do it himself?
Sounds like a plan.
That sounds like a plan. Okay.
Yeah, why don't we get to the interview with
okay.
Mr.
Did we have anything to do? We want to continue we probably should continue the bingo competition, right? So if
Nobody's won yet.
No, we have no winners as of yet. So text Nice Guys to 31996 if you want to participate in our bingo competition. Of course, if you are listening on Overcast, please take a moment and recommend us right there on Overcast FM. Just hit the little star and that will recommend us. And that's it. I think we're ready to go. Let's get to our interview with Tim Fargo. We are proud to be affiliated with the C-Suite Radio Network and the Greatness Podcast Network. Oh, shit. Strick, guess what?
We were almost there. We were so close. And the music was rolling, and all of a sudden, okay, what now, Doug? Go ahead.
Hey, Chris, he says we're going forward with Harry's Razors.
And we didn't... I love that. When do we start?
I think we start. I think probably this. If you don't hear an advertisement, or if you haven't heard it today, I think you're going to hear it pretty soon, or never. One of those might be an option.
It will be one of these two. Either you'll hear it, or you won't. What the fuck is that? What do you mean, like?
So the communication is not necessarily flowing really well between me and anybody. I don't know why. I think I'm pretty clear with my expectations. Hey, if I send you an email, just send me one back. You know, I don't know.
Seems simple enough.
It seems simple enough. I know they're interested. I know they said that they are moving forward. I know that they said they were moving forward in the month of June. We are now in the month of June. Everything seems to be the stars and the moon. They are aligned. Let's bring on Harry's Razor. Should we just cut a commercial for Harry's, just as like a promo? Should we?
Not right now. I'd like to get to the interview with...
I don't think we should either. I think once they pay, we should.
Good plan.
That's a good plan. Do you shave ever, though?
The second rule of rock and roll, if you're paying, we're playing.
But you shave, right? And you shave in the shower now.
I do shave, and I shave in the shower, and I would love to try Harry's Razors.
Could you imagine just getting into the shower and having your $2 razor by from Harry's Razors? Can you imagine?
I would love that.
Can you imagine that? And
I love that.
And when you get out of the shower, having that nice, neat aftershave balm for your face. How cool is that? That
sounds great.
That sounds delightful, doesn't it? And can you imagine that you kind of go through your razors and, things get a little bit hectic in your life and you don't want to have to think about razors. And then next month, guess what, Strick?
What, Doug?
The razors just arrive at your door in a little
You know
box.
what this sounds like, Doug?
What?
Sounds a lot like an ad for Harry's Razors, and they haven't paid us yet.
Well, I think we should give them a little bump, a little bonus, a little something to. I think if we do a little commercial for Harry's Razors and they end up not wanting to move forward with us, I think that this is just like a little teaser. It makes them feel like, hey, maybe we should check out the Nice Guys.
Okay then.
Fuck it. Let's get to the interview here with who the hell's on the show today? With Tim Fargo. We are proud to be affiliated with this. I've done that already. C-Suite Radio Network, and what the fuck's the other one? What's the other
Greatness
one?
Podcast Network.
Yeah, let's do it. Good friend to me and the Nice Guy podcast. It's a three-peat today. On the show today, Tim Fargo, founder of Social Jukebox, social influencer, and the man by which the new hustle will be defined. Excited to have you back. Welcome, Tim, to round three. Round three. Holy fuck, man. Round three of the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Welcome back, Tim, for the third time.
Woohoo! Do I get to grab the flag and do a lap?
Well, you can grab anything you want, Tim. But just be careful because you got to put it back when you're finished with it.
Okay. All right. I'll try not to tarnish it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Hey, I remember you first came on the show. This has got to be almost 2 years ago. I think you were close to one of the first guests on the show, and I was a little intimidated by your the huge social following that you had, and then I realized that you're just a nice guy, and you just are a guy. And so that's that. Let me start there. You are a guy, and you are a nice guy. How about that?
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And I'm probably guilty as charged. At least I'm very sure that I am a guy.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, we're there.
But the nice part, I'll let others decide.
Well, we won't get into any of the ex-wives thing again. We won't do that. We shared a little bit of information on rounds 1 and 2. So, Nice Guy community, if you don't know at all what we're talking about, we're not going to repeat it here on this episode. We're going to get into a whole bunch of new territory. But go to my website, DougSandler.com. In the little search box, just type in Tim Fargo, and you will see episodes 1 and 2. There was a 3. I think, Tim, we made a 3. Or maybe we made the second one and we had to scratch the whole thing. There was too much information I gave about myself. I had to pull the plug on it. Or maybe you gave a little information about yourself.
I don't recall anything that you're talking about.
All right, Tim. All right, this is how this interview is going to go. I see. So, interestingly enough, Nice Guy community, right before Tim came on the air, and he was so kind. He didn't mention any names, which is great, but he said, I listen to a lot of podcasts. One of the podcasts I listen to, they have these stock Q&A. And I said, well, I've written down your intro, which was two sentences pretty much, and I fucked those up. So 2 sentences, and now I don't have anything else to go by. So let's spend some time not going through any set of canned questions, but I want to talk about something really important. Where in the world are you today? Because I know you travel everywhere, Tim.
Actually, I just got back from Italy yesterday. I'm back in Poland, which is actually where I live part of the time. So I'm not traveling. I'm actually in a residence. But yeah, I'm in Poland today.
So, and the Nice Guy community may not even be aware of what a Tim Fargo is. So, why don't we just tell the community what you do with Social Jukebox and how that was put together, and then we'll get into the shittery from there.
Okay. Well, I started the business completely accidentally, because what I had intended to do when I got on social media from the onset was to kind of come out of quasi-retirement from selling a company in 2003. And I'd been working on projects and things like that, but I wanted to be a little more engaged. So I came out with a book, got onto social media, wanted to promote the book. And then I realized what kind of a gargantuan undertaking it was to queue up all these posts for social media. And in the process of trying to promote the book, I got really sick of doing all this mechanical scheduling and things like that. So I contacted the guy that used to be the head of IT for the company I sold in 2003, and said, "Hey, can you make me?" Wasn't a business idea at that point. It was just, can you make me a tool that will do this for me? Because I do travel a lot, as you just mentioned, and I'd like not to have to be concerned about replenishing content, just like just a little, like I say, it's a mechanical thing, right?
Yeah.
So he built something for me, and at the time it was just for Twitter, and kind of lo and behold, fast forward, I'm trying to promote my book, but people were infinitely more interested in how I was managing the post more or less 24 hours a day.
Right. Oh yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, sometimes it's good to take a step back and see where the real fertile ground is. And I was selling copies of my book, and I'm very glad about that. Alphabet Success, for those of you that might be interested, it's on Amazon. But people were much more interested in Tweet Jukebox, which is the product that came out of people's interest. And then we signed a bunch of people up for that. And we just put it out as a free product, and within a few months, we'd signed up over 20,000 people.
Oh my gosh!
And then that was like, okay, well, that's really nifty. I wonder if anyone will actually pay for it. So we came up with a paid version, and then we put that forward, and we got about 530, something in that neighborhood, of people signed up within the first week. And now, we're around 2,000. It bumps up and down. So. I'm very happy with where we're at. It's an awesome business for me. I have a nice relationship with my clients, so it's interesting. There's always that party that wants to like go, but there's also something quite nice about. I feel a little bit more like a true kind of. I have a true connection to my customers. I'm not just the figurehead of something that has a lot of people. You know what I mean?
You are on the money with that for sure, because I remember in the beginning, before we became friends, I remember reaching out to you and just thinking, okay, well, it's just a name attached to the email. There's actually probably, I know there would be a Tim, but Tim's never going to respond to my email. And then I started getting responses from this guy, Tim Fargo. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't be his only customer. And then I started sending you like some support questions and suggestions about some of the videos that you were putting out about Tweet Jukebox at the time, just to kind of these little tutorials. And then you were responding to that. I'm thinking, everybody can't be named Tim. And I know that everybody can't. How is it possible that you could have this level of personal connection with everybody? And I realized that that's just who you are. And that was really your belief in your company, is that you wanted to handle all of this stuff yourself so that you could figure out exactly how to tweak it properly in the development stage as well. Is that a fair guesstimate?
Yeah, no, that's a very fair guesstimate. And it's also, there's something, at least for me, everyone that starts a business has different aspirations and different desires, like how they want their life to look after they start the thing. And I really like being involved and hearing directly from people, like what they're frustrated with, what they'd like to see. You do get occasionally some creative, is a nice way of putting it, right. Suggestions. But a lot of the suggestions, they do make their way. Things that get repeated get included, right? If I just hear like one kind of wacky idea, I'm not going to put that in a development cycle unless it sounds like something everyone could really use. But if I hear questions repetitively, I don't need a customer service rep to tell me. I just type up the request and put it in the ticket system for development.
And who answers that? You do.
Well, actually, I do have programmers, and it goes to them. But it's nice that there's not a filter. There's not people, because that's always a dilemma that businesses have, is that when you have customer service people, do they bring you the actual data, or do you have to actually go mine it yourself? Because some people don't want to tell the quote-unquote boss that there's something wrong.
Right.
Even though that's something wrong, I mean, fixing it might be a competitive advantage, but they don't necessarily look at it that way.
So you had, and part of what you said in the just a moment ago is you had and you sold a successful insurance investigation business prior to entering into this whole world of social. I mean, it was more of like a traditional old school business when VHS was still the rage. And if you don't know what that is, kids, ask your parents.
Exactly.
How has technology? I mean, and it has, because it's taken over it. Without technology, your business is really not even existent. How has technology impacted you though as you mature as a person, just from a getting business perspective?
I mean, do you want me to include the prior business?
Yeah, well, you can. That'd be fine, because the way that I'm looking at it is the old business that you had. I mean, you had to rely upon really some traditional. You were feet on the street stuff, and this business is really very much about technology. And without this technology source, again, you don't have a business. So how do you make that leap from almost non-existent technology to this full impact technology world that you're in today?
Well, I actually use technology as a competitive advantage in my old business, and because there are a lot of people in the investigative business, because it's a low barriers to entry. I mean, if you haven't been convicted of a felony, wow, there's a major hurdle, and you have $100. I mean, that's enough to get licensed in a lot of states, and there are some states that don't require licensing, or at least when I was in the business, didn't require licensing. So, I mean, anybody with a kind of a video camera back in the day could sort of
be a whistleblower for you.
Right. So, I mean, ultimately, what we came up with was like a standardized approach, and et cetera, et cetera. And in an investigative business, you move a lot of information around. So there's investigators all over the country in the old business, and so we're moving information from the clients to them, and then back again to report it back to the client. And as the internet matured, I mean, we started leveraging that heavily, both in terms of operationally as well as marketing. I mean, our first kind of quote unquote internet campaign was "Click, You're Busted," nice. and it had to do with us being able to find people because we had such great access to technology and things like that. So fast forward from there, I mean, I'd always had an interest in using systems to provide better processes and provide better results. I mean, because to me, ultimately, the way that you get a result that can be repeated is by developing a process.
Yeah.
And processes are very easy to develop when you develop them in technology, because then it's more than a checklist. I mean, you force things through kind of a particular set of iterations. And in this business, I mean, we're still learning that piece. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually having my kickoff call to do a new user interface for the system, because I think we need like a fresh set of eyes. I mean, it appeals to a certain set of people, and I'm hoping anyone listening will take a look at Social Jukebox. But I think there's a broader audience that we may be missing because we may be a little too technical. And, I've been so close to the tool, obviously, for all this time, that I'm not the best person to look at and go, oh, well, it needs this, because for me, I'm too close to it.
Yeah, so, I get it. And what's interesting about the product itself, and again, Nice Guy Community, if you haven't had a chance, definitely take a moment, go over to socialjukebox.com and check out the space. I personally don't think it's too technology focused. I mean, it's not a very challenging interface, very, very, what is it called? User experience friendly from my perspective, but I've been using it for the last couple of years. So I guess I'm a little bit jilted by it, just like you are, because you're the guy that designed it. What I think would be so cool, and again, part of it is understanding that content is one thing, but quality content is another. And Tim and his team have put together an entire library of other quotes and links and other areas that you can go to kind of quote unquote borrow from the library, and you don't even need a card, and you don't have to put it back. You can keep it forever. But what would be even better is taking content for me is if I had content that I really want to do something creative with, if there was some sort of almost like Canva style of interface with it so that I can design my own fun, graphics and design. Is that something that has been suggested to you before?
We've had questions about that, and I think, we're a little bit on the fence, right? Because I sort of view us as a transactional tool, and what I really see, what I'd really like to do is leverage into existing design tools,
right?
If you know what I mean.
Right.
So that instead of coming up with a Canva, that it's easier for you to use Canva and just drop that content into our system.
Yeah.
And then the same token, I also want in the next iteration of the system to give users the ability. Let's say that you're doing a product launch or a book launch or whatever. You're coming out with something new and you want your audience to help you share it. That you could put something in the library, and you could do this now, but I want it to be dynamic where you could update it. Like if members of your community said, "Sure, we'll help you promote it," so or they were affiliates or whatever. So you have 100, 500, 1,000 people, and you could keep modifying that content, and it would be posted on all these people's social networks.
Yeah.
So I see that's where I see the greatest potential for expansion, is because the design thing's pretty well established, but I think the distribution piece is probably less well serviced.
So I probably know the answer to this question already, but when you hear the words from somebody, well, we do it this way because it's always been done that way. How does that make you feel with the evolution of a business that's online, especially?
Oh, I think the fact that you did something a certain way yesterday is completely meaningless, especially in today's world. You have to be willing to completely throw everything out the window because, even for us, being honest, we need to get on a mobile platform soon, right?
I was coming up with that a little bit later. I wasn't going to hit you with that quite yet. I'm like, you're tired of me hearing you hearing me say that, I'm sure.
Well, and it was an evolution of, people are using mobile more, but then it's like, okay, how do we marry up the fact that you have a fairly robust system in terms of what it does, and then be able to build the core functionality of that into a mobile app and not have it be just kind of a kludgy attempt at a mobile interface, like make it
like Social Jukebox Lite. You want it actually to be really everything it is, right?
And I think that there's a temptation to stampede forward and just like build the product because it's like the done thing, but I think you just do everyone a disservice if all you do is come up with something that's an app. People will put your app on their phone or their mobile device if it serves them. Mm-hmm. And I think you owe it to them to make sure that whatever you put in front of them is reasonably helpful in the first iteration.
So you've stayed in the game. You really have. You didn't go through this complete reinvention. You keep improving it. So you went from Tweet Jukebox originally to Social Jukebox, and I think that part of the plan is to get the word out not only through Twitter, but which I'm assuming that probably is still your most widely used social channel through Social Jukebox.
Yeah, that's the dominant channel. We do have a lot of Facebook users now, just because everyone's on Facebook, and it's that side of things is growing. But herein lies the challenge. You not only need to build the functionality, but it's also to reach the audience. We have sent a zillion emails to people about the new functionality, and I still get people in conversations like, "Are you aware that you can post to Facebook and LinkedIn?" Like, no. When did that happen? I'm like, I sent you like what I considered like nobody could possibly want one more email about this. But people are busy, and so they don't read them. And
but let me defend that email that was sent to you, and I'm not the guy that sent the email, just so you know. But let me defend that. So when I go to your Social Jukebox platform right now, the only thing that I see is Twitter. I don't even see Facebook or LinkedIn, and it probably is partly because I've gotten some emails from you, and I've probably read through them and thinking, okay, it should be easier than this, and then I look at it and say, well, how do I exactly get to post on Facebook and LinkedIn? So I think from a communication standpoint, not that I'm slapping the product at all. I love your product, and I love the fact that I have something in your library that's doing as well as it is, with others other than me. But it still is. There are still the challenges. Just like I had Josh from Zencastr. He's the guy that runs our audio recording platform for our podcast. There are still issues with Zencastr, and he knows it. But it's not it's not that we don't love him, and I love your product. It just I don't know. I've never posted through Facebook and LinkedIn through Social Jukebox. You're probably thinking, what the hell are you doing then?
But see, but this is great because this is the kind of feedback that's perfect, because when I look at it, it's obvious to me, right? But it's obvious to me because I know it's there.
Right.
And I think therein lies the problem with it's the negative side of the way I'm doing things, right? If I had somebody who was maybe like, if I was using an outside resource, which is what the meeting tomorrow is about, it's like I'm hiring somebody that has done zero development for me previously.
Right.
And they're completely fresh, and their only mandate is to make it so that help me make it when people show up that they know what the system does, and make it obvious that how to get that done. And this conversation completely provides the kind of mandate that needs to happen.
Well, yeah, because I can tell you, and again, for the Nice Guy community members that have no idea what we're talking about, take a moment, go to socialjukebox.com and check it out. You will be really impressed with the engine that Tim and his development team have put together. As a user of this particular program, one that migrated from Tweet Jukebox to Social Jukebox. So I type in socialjukebox.com and it brings me up to the site. And we don't have to get into the user interface right now because people are not sitting in front of their computer. But just so you're aware, I'm used to doing the same actions every time I go. I go to a targeted post. I look at my jukeboxes. I do that kind of stuff. And I'm looking right now and thinking, I don't even know where I get into Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn from here if I just go to schedule a new post. And I'm sure it's on me, but I have to say, well, to a degree, it's got to be on development too, because if I don't know how to do it, that means that I'm not using it. Like, you could go back probably and look through my posts and see, he hasn't fucking put one post up on LinkedIn or Facebook. I don't know how.
Right.
Yeah, I know that's frustrating because you're like, well, I've sent information. So I'm telling you from a user's perspective, I love Social Jukebox. I'm like, oh, hey, I know I can do these things. I just don't know how to do it.
Well, I think this is part of but it's part of the process that and it's a learning experience for me. I'd love to tell the audience, like, I possess all this amazing knowledge, but it's all a learning process that you need to put something, for a lot of users anyway. There needs to be something where it'll kind of stop you as you come on board and go, hey, by the way, click here if you'd like to add your Facebook account. Click here if you'd like to add your LinkedIn account.
Oh, yeah, because if that's the trick, then that's the problem, because I don't think I've added either one of those. So that's probably the problem. It's probably not asking me because I don't have them assigned to the Social Jukebox. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, love the product, and I have no complaints about it because I think that it's amazing. The tweetability factor 24 hours a day with evergreen content, to me, it means all the world to getting to markets that I have don't reach normally, because Europe is 5-6 hours ahead, or the Far East is so many hours behind, or I don't, for me it really is just about meeting people where they are rather than them having to figure out how to find me.
Right. Well, and it's fun to actually do this because I hate to sound so hopelessly naive. I just realized that that's actually exactly what needs to happen. When people log in, it needs to just stop people in their tracks and say, would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? And have a button like, do not ever show me this window again. You could have them click that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it would give them a lot of, it's not just about getting them to hook up those accounts. It's about getting them to realize, it's a communication device. It's not just an interface device.
Right. Oh, I got it. Hey, so let me leave Social Jukebox for a second because, again, I don't want to alienate any of the Nice Guy community members that are out there that have never even been on the site. So go to the site, socialjukebox.com, check it out. Do you still do maybe I shouldn't say this, do you still do like the 2 weeks free, or is that no longer? Sorry.
No. We have a free product.
Okay.
And because I think what free does for me under good circumstances, every now and then I get somebody who is like, anyhow.
Yeah, I got you.
It's like the homeless of the internet. I was using your product, and it didn't take out my trash last week. It's like, yeah, okay. Thanks for writing in.
Thanks for writing in, Mr. Freebie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like we came out of my wife and I were at a Dunkin' Donuts, and we were walking into the store, and we said there was a guy that was homeless outside. He asked for money, and said, "Well, we're not going to give you money." We didn't know if he wanted drugs or alcohol or something, but we would have bought him breakfast. Like they have egg sandwiches in there. So we said we can get you breakfast and coffee if you like. Do they have lemon donuts? I'm like, I don't know. Well, I really want a lemon donut. Like, okay. Well, hey, dude, we were just about to get you something. Now you're going to be particular about what we're going to give you.
Oh, I got to tell you this.
Guy wants his lemon donut. I get it.
We were walking through the central station in Stockholm, and a guy, I don't know if he was homeless, but he was begging, and he came up to us and he said, he sorted out that we spoke English, and he said, "Could I get some money for a cappuccino?" And I thought, since when is that become an inalienable right of the citizens of the world? I'm happy to help someone be fed. Absolutely what you said, right?
Yep.
But like, you need a skinny latte? Well,
I'm surprised.
do you want soy or is regular milk okay?
I'm surprised he didn't say, "I want one of those new unicorn drinks." Do they have the unicorn drink in Poland? Do you know that they did a week? Do you even know what I'm talking about? They had a unicorn frappuccino or something like that at Starbucks for, I think it was a limited time, like 5 days, and all the baristas were so fucking pissed because the drink was like major like imposition for them to make, and it had dye and it got colors all over their hands and stuff. Did you have that overseas?
I don't know because like for instance, over the last couple weeks, I've spent a lot of time in Italy, and to me, if you go to a Starbucks when you're in Italy,
right.
you really should be shot. I like Starbucks, and there's a lot of places. Starbucks saved me in Tokyo one time because it's not easy to find good coffee in Tokyo, but in Italy it is. So I didn't know about that. I think I read something about it, but I didn't experience the unicorn.
No, it was an incredible imposition to its baristas. So I just thought that was a very funny story. Hey, so I know you listen to the show, or I know you've listened to the show. Maybe not all 400 episodes or so. I can't believe we've actually 400 episodes. Tim, over 500,000 downloads.
That's awesome.
It is getting even better and better every week. I looked at the download count this morning, the day that we're actually recording this. I know it's not going to air for another few weeks, but the day that we're recording this episode, and maybe I'll laugh at this when it comes time for your episode to air, but we post our episodes at 3 a.m. Strick just sets it up so that East Coast, West Coast, it's kind of like the very equal time, 3 a.m. And when I wake up, generally, we have right now anywhere between 2,000 and 2,500 episodes in the first 3 hours that the show actually it airs. It took us 2 solid months before when we started the show to actually even get for the entire month 2,000 downloads, and now we have them in the first 3 hours. So I love this as a way to get our message out, and much of that is thanks to Social Jukebox with the amount of tweeting that we're able to do and the content regeneration of the evergreen stuff that we're doing. And again, I thank you for being a part of helping us grow this podcast so quickly.
Well, I think a huge amount of that is also I really like the way you do things. I really like the way you make it conversational. Because as I mentioned to you before we got started, and you alluded to this as well, I mean, I just listened to a podcast, and they provided some great information, but the only problem was it was so canned. It was like, being up at 3 a.m. and, well, the Rock-O-Matic. And you're just going, okay, man, I get it. Yep. I get it. Yeah, my thighs are gonna slim down.
Oh, speaking of which, Tim, holy shit, man! You sent me your new promo picture that I can put out. I'm actually using the one that is your I forget what. Oh crap! Let me find it. I got to see this again. You're standing, you're pointing under a sign that says opposition leader, and it's you with an attitude all over your face. But dude, you look in that picture like you're 20 years younger than the last photo that you sent. I think I even made a suggestion to you. I'm like, can you just tell your face that you're happy? Remember that? Dude, you've lost a lot of weight. You're looking good, and you got your tracksuit on and everything.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of training. I'm going to Latvia on Saturday. I'm running a half marathon in Riga on Sunday.
Oh my gosh. If you fall down and you get in any kind of medical condition, do they have any kind of do they have medical services in Latvia? Where the hell is Latvia?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's just Riga used to be in the 1700s. Riga was the largest city in Sweden.
No shit. See,
yeah.
You're like a walking history book, textbook. I mean, your kids learn history. I think if I remember from our episode number 1, your kids learned history by actually not looking at a textbook, but actually going to the places that they were reading about in those textboots.
They have been to a few places, I have to say.
Yeah, my next life, I'm coming back as Tim's kids.
Latvia is actually very well developed. With some exceptions, and I won't alienate anyone in the audience, maybe from some of these smaller countries. But
I only have one download or 2 downloads from those countries. Fuck it, it's okay, Tim. It's okay.
No, but I mean, if you take away and even Bucharest, like in Romania, Bucharest is a lovely town, but the rest of Romania, it's a little rough around the edges. Bulgaria, a little bit the same. But I mean, like Estonia, Latvia, the Baltics, they're all pretty solid.
All right, so Tim, the question remains, what the hell did you do to lose all that weight, or who scared the hell out of you so that you actually lost all that weight?
I wanted to lose it, and I guess, like perhaps many people, it took me a while to realize that at my age, I'm 56, you will not lose weight just through working out. Mm-mm. If you do not change your nutrition. And so, my wife actually went to a nutritionist in a nearby city, and the woman was awesome. She asked for a list of what I like to eat, and she took that list of what I like to eat, and she basically came up with a list of menus of stuff that she said, he should really like this food. Here's how many times you should eat. It's very programmed in terms of quantity and portion size.
That's all right.
Stuff.
When they tell you what you need to eat, sometimes it's better than just use this. It's challenging sometimes if they don't tell you quantities and when. Designing a menu would be very cool, and to something that you have to stay on. Yeah,
and it's been repetitive, but fortunately, I'm a little bit like a 5-year-old. I could kind of eat peanut butter and jelly every day.
Yeah.
So I don't really mind that there's a certain amount of repetition in it. So, but I've definitely been working out pretty hard. But I would say that the diet has been number one. And for anybody that's trying to lose weight, and I know there's people who will vehemently disagree with me. I don't believe in cheat days at all.
Yeah.
My major progress has come from the time I said, you know what, I'll consider eating alternative things when I've lost all the weight I intend to lose. And the reason is, again, for anybody that's interested, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, as I did. The problem is my cheat days got a little bit hazy, right? So it was like,
yeah.
Oh, well, tomorrow's my cheat day. So, it's Saturday night. Sunday's my cheat day. So Saturday night's okay. Well, Monday morning, it's still almost Sunday. You start justifying all this loopy stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think it's easier to say, this is what I'm eating. And the reality is, for me, after like the first month when I stopped eating like any kind of like desserts and stuff, I missed it like badly. But then I don't even think about it. I mean, people will be ordering stuff around me, and I'm like, I just don't eat that. I mean, it just be like somebody smoking a pipe. It's like, I don't smoke a pipe, so go ahead, but I'm not going to have
Well,
any.
when you look at the results, I mean, Tim, the results are just incredible. I can tell you, my co-host Strickland, have you ever talked to Strickland? I don't know if you've ever actually met Strickland, have you?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think you've ever even spoken to him, which is interesting because we comment all the time about you on the show, and about, we talk about the relationships of the people that we've interviewed. For the fact that you've been on here for 3 times and he's never spoken to you, that's pretty interesting. But Strickland he just posted on Facebook recently a photo of himself taken 20 years ago in Vegas in front of the $10 million or $1 million in $10,000 bills or whatever it was. I don't remember, but he posted a photo 20 years ago and recently, and it's incredible. Just like you look younger now than you did probably when you took that photo just 10 years ago. I mean, you probably look 20 years younger than you did in those original photos from the original cover art that we've taken. You really look good. You should be proud of yourself, man.
Thanks. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been awesome. Like, yesterday I went for a 12-mile run in Pisa next to the river, the Arno River, and it's so liberating to have lost, because I've lost, what is it now? I've lost like 85 pounds.
Jeez, that's great.
So I'm just like, I mean, I still need to lose some more, right, to get to my fighting weight, so to speak. But I'm just cruising along next to the river. I'm like, man, this is so awesome. I mean, you forget about the cosmetic aspect of it, but just the kind of freedom to go. I left. Okay, I put my stuff out before we went to bed, knowing I was going to run, and I thought I was going to get up and run like 5 or 6 miles. Mm-hmm. But I got up, and it was such a gorgeous morning, and I found this awesome trail next to the river, and I was like,
you just kept going.
I was like, why wouldn't I keep running?
Right.
So it was, for me, that's a huge thing. It's like there's kind of a built-in freedom to know that, yeah, sure, I can go do that.
As Strickland would say, he really likes running, but only when he's chased. so I think that makes sense. Hey, so a few months ago, maybe a year ago, I don't think it was quite a year ago, I had Gary Vee on the show, as you know, because you've probably seen 1,000 million tweets that I've posted about it. And I know that you guys definitely have a different definition to this word that we talked about in the last episode, which is that word hustle. So many people. I know. I'm getting there. Give me a second to ask the question. So he is all about the hustle in terms of getting it, like the activity, and you're totally about the results and not the activity. So can you just share, like, with the Nice Guy community, what hustle means to you, and then the difference between that and how Gary Vee might define it, and then the balance side of things, which is really the reality of what everybody needs in their life, a little bit more balance.
Okay, let me preface this by saying I am absolutely 100% certain that Gary will probably be much more successful by a monetary measure than I will ever be. Okay, and I think Gary does absolutely love being in the game and just jamming along and constantly going and being up at 1 a.m. and jamming along. And I do have, I have a little bit of that. I'm not devoid of competitiveness, but I think the idea that everyone is going to be Gary is just nonsense, to be frank. And for me, look, I could probably devote more time to Social Jukebox and turn it into a $1 zillion thing or something, right? But you know what? I like seeing my kids. I like traveling. I like spending time with my wife. I like going for a walk. And because to best of my knowledge, right, and everyone's got their own belief systems, but this is it, right? It's not a dress rehearsal. Right. This is my life, and I want the most out of it as I can. And I think for me, the idea is I try to focus the time that I do put toward my business to be things that are going to move the needle. Because there's a ton of stuff you can do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a never-ending stream of things you can do that will make an impact in your business. But I think if you and it's one of my arguments against quote unquote hustle is it for a lot of people is an excuse to just to be busy.
Be busy, yeah.
Yeah. And busyness like that creates a little bit of a laziness. I mean, I think a lot of people equate motion with progress, and it's not the same thing. I mean, just because you're running around in a circle, I mean, unless you're just trying to lose weight like I did, I mean, maybe it's effective for that. But just because you're moving doesn't mean you're actually getting anything done. And I think when you take a step back and go, look, I have a finite amount of time I'm going to devote to this, and I want to make sure that I'm putting my effort towards the things that are most likely to be impactful to the business. You make better decisions. It's a little bit like, Warren Buffett talks about, like, if you had only 20 shares or something like that you could ever buy in your lifetime, you'd make better decisions about which shares you would purchase in the stock market. And I think you could take a similar approach in the way you conduct your business life. I mean, if you know that you can only focus, and the reality is this is pretty much true for most people, you're only going to be able to focus on a certain number of things. And I think you need to find the key drivers that make your business work, right? The things that make your business be successful, and focus on executing on those things. When people fall into this mindset of, I'm going to hustle, I just think there's so much room in that mindset to do dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And look, again, I will repeat it for the benefit of Mr. Gary. I'm sure he's going to be a zillion times more rich than I ever have been or will be. And hallelujah, blessed be to him. But I just think that for the majority of people that are out there trying to get things done, a much better, a much easier message to follow is to focus in on doing things to like focused hustle, like to work very hard on the things that will actually change what you're working on, because there's a ton of stuff that you can just fiddle away your time. I mean, I just wrote yet another blog post called "The Tyranny of Distractions," and it's about how people, they're running around doing a million different things, and a lot of the things that they're doing sound like important things, but they're not really.
Yeah,
they're just. They're justifiable excuses. They're kind of there must be a way I can encapsulate this. It's sort of, you create your own justifiable procrastination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
Like, to be honest, I mean, like your podcast, okay, dude, you know a ton of stuff about social media, right? So you could spend a gazillion amount, like a total huge amount of time poking away at the periphery and redesigning, some artwork and this and that, and never have done your podcast. But your podcast is doing some amazing things for you. But that's a big thing that's helping Doug get where he wants to go.
Right.
And so, but you could have hustled your butt off, like being a better tweeter or a better Facebook poster. But,
there's so many things that we do with our lives that way. You focus on the core things that are going to really push you forward. But we do a certain amount of that minutia, that shit that I don't want to have to do. It's almost like, okay, I need an assistant to kind of do that stuff. I look at the list of things that I need to get accomplished, that with the ever growing list, it's like I can't get out from under. That's a lot of pressure for me. I mean, that's what creates that level of that anxiety for me. And I'm like, no, I got to stick with what I know how to do best, which is let's host this podcast. Let's interview some great people, and let's not worry about the other stuff, that's out there too, because there's always that other stuff that's going to, my dad used to, before the internet and all this stuff happened, my dad used to say, people get busy moving their stapler from the right side of their desk to the left side of their desk, and they move their pencils, and they shuffle paperwork so that they have this world that's so busy, but they get nothing done. And I think that's really what happens with most people. We just spend so much time working on the bullshit, and we just don't get to the stuff that's important, or we don't spend enough time doing the stuff that's important in our career.
Amen. I mean, I can't say it enough how critical that is. I mean, look, I've got nearly 500,000 followers on Twitter now, right?
Yep.
And I'm very happy about that. I mean, it's a great audience, but the only thing that makes that audience worthwhile is the extent to which I also provide things that, just tweeting isn't really enough. I mean,
Right.
tweeting is kind of it's an entree. It's a hello.
It's the engagement that you need so that you can build a relationship to introduce the products and service. And it sounds so like self-serving that way, and that's not really that's the indirect result, but it is through engagement that you do develop relationships, which turn into customers, and that's just a byproduct of relationships. Is the fact that there's going to be an exchange of money at some point.
Right, and I think when people don't take the time to make sure that, like, for instance, I mean, I've been doing a little success series on the Social Jukebox YouTube channel, and one of the things I talk about is putting together useful content for your audience. I mean, and whether you create it or you curate it, providing that, I mean, that's the value add. I mean, people, like a Twitter channel or Facebook. I mean, it's a touch point, but and people will show up and they'll poke around and look at the superficial stuff. But if you really want them to stay, I mean, you need to have a little bit more than an hors d'oeuvre tray. I mean, you need to kind of have something more substantial. And I think whether it's a podcast, and like this deeper content that people provide, and whether the content isn't whatever on like entry point that is to what you do, I think that's a super important thing. But it gets neglected because, I mean, some people are so in love with their social media metrics, and who cares how many retweets you got? I mean, did you get any customers?
I get it. Oh my gosh, it's so funny you say that. It is, the reality of it is we get so caught up in the numbers that we forget what the numbers can. My wife and I talk about this all the time. It's like, geez, we got 20,000 downloads. Yeah, but what the fuck does that mean? If I don't have a customer, 20,000 downloads doesn't do anything. If I have 5 downloads, but 4 of them bought from me, now we're talking. Now we're good.
Well, amen. And I think that's, again, going back to where we started. I think the idea of, you can build something, but it's like, what do you, like, you got to ask yourself, like, what are you trying to get done? And I think that where maybe the disconnect is, at least in my opinion, and maybe more people get it, and I'm the one who's missing the boat. But I think a lot of people look at someone like Gary and they run around like mad and think, I'm doing what Gary does. And Gary's a very focused guy, and he's also got a pretty big team that supports him.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm not denying his innate energy or anything like that, but I think there's a level of focus that needs to be in attendance when you're out there, kind of running wild. And if you don't have that, then that's all you're really doing. You're just running wild.
I think,
if that's your goal, then that's awesome.
If you wait just a short time, maybe this will be out by the time that Tim's podcast episode on the Nice Guys airs. But Tim has I want to call it a podcast that you might be putting together. Tim, he's got a project through us, the Turnkey Podcast, that we actually are putting a season of episodes together. You will be able to have access to that. You'll be able to get that right through the Nice Guys podcast. You'll be able to get that probably through Social Jukebox and all the other access points that Tim will provide. I'm excited to get you started on it because I know that you have so much great content. I mean, like meat of the content, specific, things that are going to help people build their social following and build their business as well.
Yeah, well, I think if we stick with the proposed name, the Social Jukebox Show, and have it, for those of you that are still listening,
everybody's listening, Tim. They're all listening.
I'm trying not to sound too self-aggrandizing, right? So, but I think that the idea is to provide content for people that will let them get their message out. I mean, it's never been a more awesome time to be an entrepreneur, right? Because everybody can reach an audience. But you've got to have something worthwhile to say. And I think that's what we'll get into on my show will be, talking about, how do you reach an audience and, what are the effective ways to bridge the gap between, okay, now you've got all of these distribution channels, quote unquote, in social media. How do you leverage those to actually build a business? And I'm not talking about we will not have a show about image sizes and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a zillion posts about that. I think it's more high level kind of strategy stuff on what it takes to get the job done and and that kind of thing.
Well, stay tuned for all of that fun stuff. We will put links everywhere about that. And you know what? We're probably going to promote it through Social Jukebox as well. I think that's probably a good idea. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah. I like the way you're going. With that.
Yeah, we're not going to go to do it. We'll probably.
Oh no!
well, that's all right. Strick will beep that out. If Strick has not fallen asleep through 50 minutes of the episode, he'll beep this out. He's going to have his work cut out to bust this down to 30 minutes, Tim. But I think that he could do it.
All right, awesome.
Hey, Tim. Any final? Well, how can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to find out more about Social Jukebox?
If you have any questions about the product, if you go to socialjukebox.com and you check the product out, any questions or comments, you can reach me at tim@socialjukebox.com, and it will be me that answers you. And you can see me on or find me on Twitter at Alphabet Success, which is the name of the book I was promoting way back when. And I mean, those are probably the two easiest places to reach me. I'm not a big LinkedIn guy, and if I'm honest, I don't spend other than chatting with my kids, I don't spend a ton of time on Facebook. So
awesome. Well, we will make sure we put all of his contact information in the show notes. Nice guy community. Tim, thank you for coming back a third time and putting up with my nonsense here on the show, and looking forward to episode number 4 at some point with you as well. You're going to be airing somewhere around episode 400, Tim. That's going to be cool.
That'll be great. Well, look, I certainly appreciate you having me on. It's I really love I love what you guys are doing, and there's a reason you're experiencing so much success. It's because you're doing a great thing.
Well, thanks, Tim. Thank you so much. Nice guy community. Never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Tim Fargo of socialjukebox.com for being on the show. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
The Nice Guys on Business are professional podcasters. Please do not try this at home. It may seem simple, kids, but lots of people get hurt in the process. Void where prohibited, including Mexico, Puerto Rico, Fredonia, or your in-laws. The Nice Guys on Business are not responsible for any claims of liability or any guarantee that these two morons know what they're talking about. There is no promise that being nice to people will help your business, but calling people assholes, dumb, incontinent fuckwads will definitely lose you business. For any and all claims, shit in one hand and wish in the other, and see which one fills up first. Thank you for listening to the Nice Guys on Business podcast. I'm Steve O'Brien. That's their story, and they're sticking to it.